course, a very good morning to you, Eldrin, and to our viewers at home. Today marking the last day, of course, of the Africa Free Continental Trade Areas Business Forum at the Cape Town International Convention Center. Indeed, Deputy President Paul Mashatile will be coming through in the afternoon to close the sessions here. Today, also, we're going to be seeing those parallel engagements and plenary sessions continue as they wrap up and they try by all means to solidify the trade commitments that are coming through from the African continent. So here we're talking about 54 nations that form part of the Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement that was signed for about 3 years ago. So today, just taking stock, we're expecting to take stock of where we are in terms of what has been spoken of in the past 2 days, and we're also going to be seeing the delegates, the secretariat, just come through as well to give us a sense of how successful these engagements were. But also notably, Eldrin, is that the role of women and the youth is going to be critical as well in terms of those discussions that are underway here, because often for the longest of time we hear that women have been left behind and young people can position themselves as solution makers, and they come through with solutions in terms of ensuring that that one economy and one market for Africa becomes a reality. I'm going to bring into the conversation now, Eldrin, a young person. This is the president of the young entrepreneurs of the AfCFTA Young Entrepreneurs, Siita Sofo Hissan, who's joining us this morning to just give us a sense of the role of young people here where this event is concerned. Siita, good morning. Welcome to the SABC.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning here in South Africa. The role of women and youth is very critical to the success of the AfCFTA. When AfCFTA started, African Free Continental Trade Area is part of AU Agenda 2063. That presupposes that by 2063, there are going to be a lot of youth that are making decisions when it comes to the continent. That is why the World Bank did the research and came out that by 2030, about 100 million African youth and women are going to be brought out of abject poverty. 30 million from moderate poverty, and about 68 million 30 million from abject poverty, and about 68 million from moderate poverty. And these beneficiaries are going to be women and youth. So we are asking questions that, what is the role of women and youth in AfCFTA? And as such, that's the reason why the AfCFTA Young Entrepreneurs Federation, we are mobilizing, we are networking, and we are pushing for policies. If you recall, in September last year, the AfCFTA Ambassador for Women and Youth, Her Excellency Siita Sofo Hissan, the President of Tanzania, did the first ever AfCFTA Women and Youth trade conference in Tanzania, where we went and discussed the draft protocols for women and youth. And then at that program, we highlighted the challenges women and youth face in trading across Africa. So as such, we believe that by June this year, the protocols for women and youth are going to come out. We are working with the Secretariat closely, working with the African governments, trying to let them know about the challenges women and youth face when it comes to trading. Africa has over 450 million women and youth. And most of the times, we are also the underprivileged. In the decision-making table, women and youth are not captured. They are not featured. They are not. In fact, long ago, what used to happen was that our leaders will think that this is what is good for women and youth, and they will push it to us. Now, we are saying that we don't want it anymore. We want to be engaged. We want them to ask us, what is disturbing you people? How can we give you that opportunity to take part in decision-making concerning things that affect our own future? So therefore, we believe that now that the protocols are being made, now that the rules and regulations are being made as to how trade will happen, this is the time that women and youth are supposed to be brought to the table so that we can make decisions that will affect us now and also in the future.
It's been 3 days of engagements, or today being the third day of engagements. Maybe give us a sense of your key takeaways from the engagements that have been happening behind us.
Certainly, even in coming here, we've seen that by the able leadership of His Excellency Wamkele Mene, he is a very youthful person, and he is always, from day one, he's made us aware that women and youth are going to be actively involved. If you look at most of the participants at this particular event, most of them are being led by women and youth. And some of the breakaway sessions discuss how women can actively participate in trade, youth in agriculture, youth in digital trade, after hub, which has to do with IT and other stuff. So basically, I believe that it's been very engaging, very educative, because so many people didn't actually know about AfCFTA and how they can also take part or actively play in AfCFTA. But now, what is unique about this AfCFTA Business Forum is that all the key stakeholders that are needed for successful implementation of AfCFTA are here. Look at most of the challenge business people face is the challenge of finance, how to access finance in terms of trade. Africa has become a laughing stock because of the fact that most of African governments are owing. So now the question is how do we get funds to build our industries that we are talking about that's going to create employment for the women and youth and to grow our economies. So the key takeaways from this event is that there's been a very good networking opportunity for all the key stakeholders, decision makers, the business people, because, you know, one thing about AfCFTA is that AfCFTA doesn't trade. AfCFTA is like a government institution set up by the African Union that's supposed to coordinate and bring out policies that will make trading very possible. But the key actors in this particular discussion that we are having here is the business with the private sector. If you look at most of the developed countries, it's been driven by the private sector. So the businessmen, the businesswomen, the youths and women, that's the customers, the consumers, the producers, we are actually the relevant people when it comes to AfCFTA. And as such, we've made it known to most of the regulatory bodies that these are the challenges that the business people actually face in executing their businesses. And if these challenges are actually ironed out, and then we also send a very strong signal to the policymakers, that the African Union, that hey, it's enough of the talks. We've been talking plenty. Africa, we are good at solutions, but the issue is that how do we implement those solutions? So we don't want this one to be like just a talk shop. We will actually know how relevant it is. After this particular event, some of the things that have come up, whether they are going to be implemented, whether our governments are going to ensure that they ratify the AfCFTA protocols, whether free trade actually is going to happen so that somebody from Ghana can easily transport his products to South Africa, and somebody from South Africa can also transport his products to Ghana without any hindrances.
Let's talk about the rules of origins just briefly in terms of what we've seen happen. We know very well that for the longest of time, the protocols have not in any way ensured that we solidify they're made from or made by in terms of the nations on the African continent. Are we inching closer to ensuring that we address the issues around the rules of origin where these products that are manufactured on the African continent is concerned?
Certainly, somebody said that because rules will be broken, that's why they are made. So obviously the rules of origin is very, very important, because when you are making rules, other people are looking at how to break those rules, because the main purpose of AfCFTA is to ensure that a lot of indigenous products in Africa are exported. For example, if somebody has his product in South Africa and it's only 760 million markets, and the person have the opportunity of serving 1 billion market across Africa, certainly the person is going to be rich. He's going to employ more people. The economy of South Africa is going to grow. In the same vein, but then look at it this way. What if they import products and services from China into South African market, and then they're able to sell those products across Africa using AfCFTA with low tariff rates? They end up developing China. I'm just using that one as an example. So we want to ensure that the product and services are actually produced in Africa. Either they are original from Africa or they have undergone some kind of significant modification. You know, so that is what rules of origin seeks to address. And I'm very happy that yes, a lot of it has been concluded. Rules of origin has already been concluded, and then we believe that people will go by the rules such that it will not defeat the whole purpose of bringing it up. So the standard authorities, the food and drugs authorities are those bodies that are going to work with the trade ministry to ensure that this thing is achieved, and all hands must be on deck.
Siita, thank you very much for your time. It's coming through as a young person. Eldrin, young people don't want to be left behind. They want to be part of the solutions here. Women as well, they don't want to be left behind for the longest of time. And we know very well that the structure on the African continent is that the leaders are there at the top are old, and we're saying that at least now after it's coming through, being intentional around making sure that young people are not left behind. Siita coming through there as the president of the AfCFTA Young Entrepreneurs that are playing a role here and ensuring that their voice is heard. Eldrin?